It turns out that the benefits that come with creatine supplementation go far beyond merely increasing the muscle strength. It also has a huge positive impact on the functioning of our brain. But let's start with the substance itself. Creatine is an organic chemical compound that is naturally present in the bodies of all animals. It is produced endogenously, which means that it is made by the body itself. And when it comes to us humans, this process occurs mainly in the liver and in the kidney, and to a slightly lesser degree in the pancreas. On average, the human body produces around 1 gram of creatine a day. Creatine is a so-called tripeptide because to produce it, our body utilizes 3 different amino acids: arginine, glycine, and methionine. Peptides combine together and form a creatine particle, which is further converted to the form of phosphocreatine, which is a compound that is crucial for energy process to occur. They say that creatine is a supplement that shows positive influence both in the context of building muscle mass and body strengthening in general. Such activity arises from its relation to the so-called ATP. ATP is best described as the most universal energy carrier that our body can utilize. Creatine allows to retain these carriers in the biggest possible amount wherever it is located, and it is its location that is so important in terms of today's material. That's because the most, as in around 95% of its amount, is stored in skeletal muscles and tendons, but there's also around 5% located in the brain. Creatine is stored in the body in form of phosphocreatine. Its task is to give out a phosphate group in a ATP regeneration cycle. Exertion triggers the beginning of using the ATP resources and releasing the energy stored in it. That is when ATP is broken down into ADP. And in order for your body to use the energy from ATP on an ongoing basis, a resynthesis of ADP into ATP must occur, which is made possible by the phosphate group. That's why creatine supplementation is so effective, because it elevates the phosphocreatine level in our bodies. Of course, I just described the process of obtaining energy from ATP in anaerobic exercises, which means short and intense, like weightlifting, for example. In case of things like running, the energy from ATP is obtained from the ongoing oxidation of glycogen, carbohydrates, and fats. We were talking, however, about skeletal muscles, which in themselves don't show the ability to synthesize creatine. Unlike them, the brain is able to produce creatine on its own because the key enzymes that take part in it are present in neurons. Interesting conclusions could be drawn after checking the efficacy of creatine supplementation in vegetarians and vegans compared to omnivores. Vegetarians, and especially vegans, have less phosphocreatine in their skeletal muscles than omnivores do, for obvious reasons. Their sources of food are low in creatine. Nevertheless, when the phosphocreatine content in the brains was checked, no difference could be found between the people on plant-based diets versus omnivore people. The increase of its amount in brain tissue can only be elevated by using supplementation, which shows a similar potential in each case. Such increase, however, will be much lower than that occurring in skeletal muscles. Lower doses, around 0.3 grams of creatine per kilogram of body mass, did not increase the phosphocreatine level in the brain at all. And that's regardless of the preferred food habits. However, even despite the lack of differences in the average phosphocreatine content in muscle tissue as a result of creatine supplementation in vegetarians and vegans, an improvement was found in them in terms of specific cognitive processes, like the working memory. And although brain creatine deficiencies don't necessarily have to be related to the eating habits, the very fact of their potential presence is real, and such deficiency is always directly linked to deteriorating cognitive functions. These deficiencies can often be a result of the aging processes. In such case, the phosphocreatine level in the brain decreases because the process of synthesizing it becomes less and less efficient. An analogous situation can also be caused by certain illnesses, stimulants, sleep deprivation, or an overall unhealthy lifestyle. For example, this has been shown in a study that tested the performance of cognitive functions following a significant sleep deprivation, 24 or 36 hours. Some of the participants of the experiment were given creatine a week before the experiment in the amount of 20 grams a day. The creatine-taking control group showed much better results than the group without creatine. One of the key neurotransmitters responsible for the overall intellectual performance is glutamate. It is a stimulating neurotransmitter that amplifies signal transmission in the nervous system. It influences a special group of receptors classified as NMDA. Creatine, on the other hand, reacts with the spots where polyamines join the complex of NMDA receptors. That way, it is able to intensify the receptor activation through its relevant ligands. Thanks to such modulation of the glutamate system, it is possible to achieve functional neuroplasticity and more effective memorization of information. On the other hand, excess glutamate and hyperactivity of NMDA receptors causes pathological changes. The phenomenon of neurotoxicity caused by glutamate takes part in pathogenesis of many neurological disorders. Whereas moderate stimulation is necessary for things like learning processes, excessive stimulation interferes with signalization, causes the so-called excitotoxicity, is toxic to the cells and destructive as a consequence. This causes excessive migration of calcium ions to the inside of cells. That's where creatine helps by securing the ATP level, which also results in reducing the toxic hyperactivity of neurons. Another neurotransmitter, the functioning of which can be influenced by creatine, is the previously discussed on this channel, serotonin. Just like dopamine, it is one of the key happiness hormones circulating around your brain. Disorders related to its level may manifest themselves through bad mood or lack of motivation, or in other words, depression. Antidepressant drugs inhibit reabsorption of serotonin through neurons, which increases its overall level. It is a long-lasting process, however, which means that those taking it first have to wait for a while. In one of the studies on people with heavy depressive disorders, it was shown that creatine not only made the effects of the drugs faster, but it also significantly improved their efficacy in reducing the syndromes of depression. In yet another study, efficacy in treating drug-resistant depression was shown. Nevertheless, it is worth noting that the promising antidepressant action has not been proven in men, which might be related to the hormone profile. And although creatine shows a promising potential for improving the cognitive functions in all people supplementing with it due to the many differences present in the methodologies of different studies, it is hard to organize them in a way that would constitute a basis for general guidelines. It is most likely that creatine supplementation will have the best impact on complex cognitive functions, as these engage the brain's energy resources more, such as thinking, language, or deduction. However, these are variables without generally accepted measurement criteria. Therefore, the evaluation when they are put together will always be subjective to a significant degree. He paid millions to reverse his age. Brian Johnson is a billionaire who has developed the Blueprint Project. It consists of taking a rigorous care of the functioning of your own body and scrupulous monitoring of its parameters. The goal of the 46-year-old is to maximally slow down the aging process. He has optimized every possible area of his life with that in mind. His diet and supplements are taken care of by a team of experts, and the guy himself is spending a fortune on this. Check out the suggested video to learn his story.